Okay, this will be an interesting one and possibly a challenging one. Oh, fuck off. There's something's on the glass. Right, from our last demo, we're just going to drop it there. We're just going to get ourselves organised. Right, going to keep it on that. We'll see how we go with this. If we can make this look really interesting. It's another sign of capitalism. Maybe not as much as some companies, but it is. What used to be for the people, but not anymore. Right, let's see how we go with this. Right, we're just going to go here. I'm going to make this hopefully look really nice. It's really tiny what we're going to enlarge. So let's see how we go. Going to leave it in the middle. We're just going to, okay, we're going to leave out the yellow, cyan, some magenta and some black, and we're going to leave out the yellow. We're going to strip the yellow for this one. The magenta is going to stay in the middle. Right, what do we got? What is it that we're going to enlarge? No, my foot, this ankle's getting itchy. Just scratched it, sorry. Anyway, we've got here a business card, shuttle bus. North Shore Volkswagen. I think that's how the Germans pronounce it. So it's Volkswagen. Volkswagen, as we call it. Something like that. So yeah, we're going to enlarge the symbol, the actual, the logo. But basically it used to be, they used to be really cheap, I think, these Volkswagens were, but like anything, they seem to, like Jeep, they've become gentrified and they've become rich people's, or maybe middle class to rich. They become status symbols, but they're not as much of a status symbol as, say, a Porsche or a Lamborghini, but it's still a fairly much, or a Volvo. I don't know, Volvos are still statusy, but they are for rich people. Anyway, we got that enlarged, bigger. We need to go much bigger than 400 for this. But basically, yeah, they've just been gentrified. This has become gentrified. So it's like it's no longer the people's car. I think it was Adolf Hitler. I think Hitler was the one who founded Volkswagen originally, strangely enough. It seems a bit odd that a dictator, but then dictators are often capitalists anyway, so anyway, but that's like what we have today, that big corporations behave like dictators and basically make everything expensive and things don't work as well. The photocopier industry is full of assholes like you would not believe. But you know, it's just like that in industry, that people are just, everything becomes about the money instead of about the product. The wrong people run the photocopier industry, and I must say I have developed an absolute hatred for my own industry, for the industry I once admired, and I once admired the people who ran it, but I don't admire them anymore. I've gone off this whole idea of fandom. I'm not interested in being a fan. I want to make better photocopiers in the future. I want to be someone who designs them, not someone who just merely does what I do now, and that is uses them and in my case critiques these products. I critique photocopiers now. I don't follow the company like Apple people follow Apple. I just use the product and I enjoy using it, even though it's got a lot of bullshit in it. And it is full of bullshit. The whole industry is a bullshit industry. You can't seem to get away from the bullshit in every kind of industry. So we're going to make this into something interesting, hopefully. I'm actually wondering if I should have kept this one as it was. I might use this one to work from, but basically, well, photocopiers I don't think are classified as status symbols, except they do that industries like, well, how should I put it? I'm getting all tied up now. Sorry, folks. So we're now just going to make this more interesting. We're going to make this from A6 to... I'm going to just see if we can just experiment with this. It's not an easy job we're doing. We're going to try and just make it creative here. But basically, yeah, we just... How should I put it? It's just like... I just no longer admire the photocopier industry anymore. I don't admire, and I certainly don't admire the people who run it. I've got no respect. I've learned to have no respect for them, to treat them like idiots, because they are idiots. If you behave like an idiot, expect to be treated like one. You know, if you're an asshole, expect a few of these coming up on your fucking video screen. So yeah, you got to expect that. If you want to behave like a fucking asshole, you're going to be treated like one. And I say that to most of the big businesses and the shitheads. Now that looks really interesting. I'm thinking we're going to run with that as our... We're going to make that into our job. So I'm wondering what's going to be the centre of this image. We're going to make that. So we're going to do something interesting with this. So we've made it off centre, but we want it off centre. So I'm wondering what we're going to do is we're going to go here. And we're going to go do two colour. We're going to make it black and red, black and blue, black and green, black and yellow. So let's see how we make this symbol of... Oh, I know what I forgot. I forgot to set up the image quality settings. So we're just going to go here. And we're just going to set up our... Right, we just make sure everything's in play. That's there, that's there, that's still there from the full colour. So now we're just going to quickly print this off. So we're going to make a bit of something interesting out of a corporate logo. I can't drive anyway. I've got disabilities, so I can't drive. So there's no point in me dreaming of owning a car because, hey, I just can't fucking drive. I'm just not. I have to make it darker to make the red more punchy. But basically, yeah, I just can't drive. Simple as that. So I can't drive. I'm not missing out on anything, I don't think. Hopefully I'm not. But a lot of people talk about a sense of freedom if they've got their own set of wheels. And certainly if you live in regional areas, like in the country, it becomes mandatory. Well, it's mandatory out of being practical, because there's no... In a lot of country towns, there's no regular bus services or train services. You're stuck in this little town or this little countryside. And to me, that would be like a form of prison. I'd feel like I was in prison if I lived in the country, because I can't travel. I can't travel because I haven't got my own set of wheels. And I can't, because I'm disabled, well, I have to live in places where there's public transport. It's just a practicality. Not having wheels, you got to live where you can get public transport. So yeah. Let's see how we go. That looks really nice. It's interesting to see how a logo really transforms when it's being changed. I'm wondering if maybe the yellow should go up in the top right rather than the bottom left. And I've got it upside down. I'm actually thinking maybe Volkswagen should be turned upside down for a change. That might be an interesting concept. Or maybe, that's a good question. It's going to be turned upside down anyway, like on the bottom. So I'm actually trying to decide what's going to be the centre. So it looks like we're going to make, I think, this part the centre of the job. So we're just going to flick it over. But then, oh shit, it's got to go this way. That's where it's got to go. I'm trying to work this layout, how it's going to work for this silly logo, this old-fashioned, it's been around since Hitler was in power. I'm pretty sure it was him that instigated the company Volkswagen. But, you know, you've got but it's become like it became like a beachy sort of surf culture status symbol, because the Kombi van, who doesn't know what the Kombi van is? At least now I think our original size has been fucked. We've got to manually select our original size because it said 16K, which is like a funny paper size. So we're going to go here and just manually set up for, we're just going to go metric and we're going to go A4 just to be on the safe side. But basically the Volkswagen, the Kombi van. The Kombi van is something that became associated with surf culture back in the 60s. And, they'd often have, like, all this lovely painting on the side of the van, like peace symbols. How ironic. It was associated with peace, the hippies. And yet it was apparently, from what I've heard, it was Hitler who created Volkswagen, but yet the Volkswagen became associated with surf culture and hippie culture, if I remember correctly. If anyone out there who lived in the 60s and as in their teens or their adulthood, can you please tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong? But basically, the Kombi van. So it was, and I don't think the Kombi van was that expensive, whereas now Volkswagen has become, if I'm trying to pronounce it in the German way, basically they've become a status symbol. No more surf culture and shit like that, except for rich people's surf culture. I mean, I'm pretty sure in the old days, back in the 60s, before real estate became a real boom industry, or whatever you want to call it, it was cheap to get a house and you hang out, you live with your surfing mates and you go surfing every day, living the dream of a surfer. And I think that the beachside houses in the old days were much cheaper than they are now. But anyway, I don't know if this is the greatest demo I've ever done, but I think that looks interesting. That's it. A new take, a different take on Volkswagen.